Clare businesswoman who's been left devastated after her newly refurbished shop was broken into and ransacked less than 24 hours after its grand opening. The incident happened at the Spar store, Barron Spar store in Blackwater near Parteen, where significant damage was caused and a number of items were stolen. The Gardaí are now investigating, and to find out more about the situation and how they are all dealing with the aftermath, I'm joined by Alannah Barron from Barron's Blackwater. Alannah, good morning to you and thanks for joining me on the show.
Good morning.
This was obviously a big lead-in to the grand opening. I'm living in the locality and, it was some time coming and I'm sure you were all excited about it. How much was that excitement tempered by what happened less than 24 hours after your grand opening?
Yes, we actually started renovating this store May of last year. A lot of work went into it. We were all buzzing, obviously, to finally get the doors open on Tuesday. The support we received from the community, everyone was in awe of this new modern look Spar store. Everybody was just on a high. The vibes were good in the area. Everybody was buzzing. And unfortunately, that night, in the early hours of Wednesday morning, unfortunately, I got a call from our alarm company monitoring station that there was a burglary. So I obviously in a few minutes we headed for the store and I met the guard on Gardaí there at the store. Unfortunately, to the damage that had been created by the intruder, the windows, everything new went into the store was new sliding doors, new windows, all high-tech camera and alarm systems, cash management systems. Unfortunately, the windows were all smashed in. Shelving was damaged, tables were damaged, and obviously our high-tech cash management system, he tried to take it out, but unfortunately it weighs a ton and he smashed it off the ground. There was a lot of damage done to this system, and I suppose everything is expensive nowadays. So the aftermath of all this has just been another burden on us of the cost of everything.
Yeah, I mean, when you run a business, you obviously can't rule out the possibility that you might have to deal with an incident of this type at some stage, Alannah. But
exactly.
When you get the call less than 24 hours after you've actually opened, and then you see all of that damage, how dispiriting is that when you've just opened? You're trying to get your feet up and get off the ground, and the local community has looked forward to the business opening, and then that you see all that damage.
To be honest, it was very disheartening. My family and I put a lot of work into this project. But to be honest, we're overwhelmed with the support that we've received throughout social media from the local community across County Clare and Limerick, customers, our suppliers, Spar, Circle K, people, they just really couldn't do enough for us. The kindness that we received throughout everything, I suppose, we're just absolutely overwhelmed by it. I just want to thank everybody again for everything, especially on Gardaí, the help they have given us. And I suppose it just kind of makes things a bit easier when you see the kindness that's out there in the community.
Alannah, you mentioned the damage to the cash management system and the fittings and so on, and given you had just opened,
yes,
how much of a halt did that put to your gallop? Because you've been pretty much open, you haven't been closed since you only opened on Tuesday, but you didn't have to close for a couple of days to sort all of this out at least.
So we were meant to be open 6:30 Wednesday morning, but unfortunately this had just happened at 5:20. So I got on to our local window suppliers straight away, and they were out. The local community and I suppose our staff, suppliers, everybody called in and tried to help us clean up the mess. And our till providers and the cash management systems, alarm companies, everybody just arrived that day with their help. So we were back open again about 2:00 that day. So we just obviously have to look positive and just get on with things. But I just want to say thanks again to everybody for their help. But as you know, we obviously have insurance, but there's a knock-on effect with everything.
Yeah, of course. But as you mentioned there, Alannah, I mean, it's one thing having the goodwill of the local community, but when some of them actually row in and help you to clean up, that has got to be so comforting and heartening.
Absolutely, genuinely so overwhelmed by the kindness that's out there.
In terms of the extent of the damage, have you been able to get your head around or assess how significant or otherwise any financial loss might be?
Oh, but definitely down thousands anyway. Between getting a new system in place, well, getting it all fixed up, the new windows, I suppose the products that were stolen, the damage done to our shelving. There's nothing cheap nowadays. And I suppose the stock that was taken also.
So down thousands when
yes.
money had only been coming into the till for one day.
Yes, and we had been renovating since last May, so there was a lot of costs that went into this project. But look, I suppose we can just look positive and just start again, and we're back on action again, and hopefully it doesn't occur again soon.
And obviously Gardaí investigating, and be hopeful something will come of that.
Yes, and I just want to thank them again for all their help. But we do have all high-tech systems in, monitoring companies, alarm systems, pro cameras, everything possible went into this store.
Do you have concerns that obviously the level of premeditation that it was well known this had been some time coming, the opening of the new service station, that somebody had been, that this wasn't just a random from the perpetrator or perpetrators, that they would just break into a service station, that they've been perhaps keeping their eye on a new business opening and hoping there might be a vulnerability there?
No, I don't believe it was, to be honest. It definitely wasn't that anyway. It wasn't the fact that it was the first night or anything. I do believe that the intruders were on a bit of a spree, I'd say. Okay, well, look, as I say, Gardaí looking into it. But you weren't closed for too long, thankfully, a few hours. No, thank you. And I was in there myself this morning. Things back up and running, and you're hopeful that it'll be you won't. It'll be a long time, or hopefully never, before you have to encounter an incident of this type again, Alannah. No, but you know what? The spirits are good. Everybody's loving the new modern look Spar store, and we've a beautiful deli and everything. So we just have to be positive and go again. Okay, well, look, you're servicing a lot of different communities there. Obviously, you're near Clare, Parteen, Ardnacrusha. You've got Westbury down the road as well. So I'm sure you'll be kept well going for the long term. But the best of luck with the rest of the business, and hopefully, as you say, this will never happen again. Alannah Barron, thank you very much for joining us on Morning Focus. Alannah Barron there from Barron's Blackwater, near Parteen and Clonlara, which was broken into less than 24 hours after its grand opening.